The story is familiar to you. It's familiar to people who aren't even Christian. And yet the focus tends to be on the Good Samaritan, the guy who does well by this victim of these robbers. I was wondering if you and I might spend a few moments thinking about the two guys that chose not to stop and help. The question is why? Why would they not stop and help? Especially a priest and a Levite, people in that day and age who you would expect to stop and help. Why would they not do it? So give it some thought. I'm trying to think of, their thinking at that point. Perhaps they chose not to stop because of time. This is a bit of a journey from Jerusalem down to Jericho, and perhaps they were running late. It was getting dark, maybe it was late in the afternoon, and they were concerned they wouldn't get there in time, wanted to get off the road before the sun set. And maybe it was, well, I'd love to stop and help, but I just don't have the time. Might have been prejudice, of course, that's possible, that they looked and saw the man. We don't know from the story what his religion, ethnicity was. We don't know anything about him. But perhaps they saw something that they decided, I'm not helping somebody like that. That's possible. They might have misread the situation. In other words, it's entirely possible they looked at the man and decided he was already dead. And so if he's dead, and perhaps they were walking, they didn't have an animal with them to transport the body, well, what were they going to do? There's just not much they could do. Figured, well, I'll just keep going. Maybe somebody coming up behind me will be able to deal with the corpse. They might have decided, well, I'd be willing to help, but I don't know what to do. The man has been beaten and injured. I don't have any medical training. I don't know what I would do for the person. And it potentially also might have been fear. Could have looked at it and wondered, I wonder if this is not what it seems. I wonder if it's fake. The guy is faking these injuries so that as soon as I go over and kneel down next to him, he is, for example, going to pull a knife, or people that are working with him will jump out from hiding and they will rob me. And maybe he was afraid to stop. Just wondering, when you and I get into situations where we have an opportunity to help, do those kind of thoughts go through our mind? We don't have time, we're scared, or something like that. Are those the same reasons that you and I choose not to help at times? So I was trying to work my way through this. What would you and I do about it? Because I would think in certain circumstances, some of those reasons might actually be legitimate. They might be the prudent thing to do. In our day, of course, with cell phones, probably a little different. If nothing else, you could always call someone for help. But even so, I think the issue is we are in a position where we're making decisions very quickly. So this priest and this Levite, they're just kind of walking down the road, and suddenly they see this injured man. Hadn't really thought about the possibility of seeing an injured man, don't know anything, and suddenly in just a couple of seconds, they have to decide, what am I going to do? And you would appreciate that generally, sometimes the easiest thing to do is nothing. And so they're like, well, I don't know. And they just walk by. And so I was wondering if what would help all of us if you and I began a process of pre-planning to help. That's the story that I told the kids. That is what this woman did. That's what she wanted to teach her son. Every time they would go to a park, they would plan on doing something for someone that they would meet throughout the day. Whether it was something like the boy giving this girl a pin, or whether it was something anonymous. She said that sometimes they would buy things and just leave them, maybe leave them on a table they used at a fast food stop so that the next person would just find it. They planned, we're going to help somebody today. And I was just wondering if that's maybe what would help us. That instead of going to the grocery store and saying, oh, I'm in such a hurry, I'm going to just run in and get the 2 things I need and run out, and then get really caught up in the fact that the person at the front of the line is struggling to check out. And suddenly we're all about ourselves. It's like, I need to get out of here. I need to get out of here. I need them to. And we don't even think that maybe there's some way we could help that person. And so the question is, what would happen if you and I always had time to go to the grocery store? If it's your normal practice on a Tuesday, say, to go in the afternoon, that rather than saying, well, it generally takes me about an hour, you just allow yourself an hour and a half, so that when you got there, you could take your time. And as you were perhaps even just walking into the store, somebody is putting the last bag out of their cart into their car, and that means they're going to next have to take the cart and find a place to put it, that you could walk over and say, oh, I could take the cart in for you, and just do that. Maybe you're a little taller than other people, and you help someone get something off the top shelf of the store. Somebody's having trouble checking out. Maybe it's one of those situations you hear about sometime where somebody comes up like $1 short. They don't have enough money. And if you're planning to be helpful, maybe you would already have in your mind, oh, if I ever run across that situation, that's what I'll do. I'll make sure that I'm aware of what's going on, and I'll say, oh, ma'am, could I just give you the $1 to let you finish up? All those kind of things. If we took the time, if we thought it out in advance, I'm just wondering if we would be better servants, better able to help, so that we're not doing these last-minute things. My flight to the airport is later this afternoon, and as I'm prepping for this, I decided, I need to do this. So I'm leaving a little early. I'm going to get to the airport much earlier than I need to, just so that I would be in a position, if it happens, to help someone, maybe in the security screening, or while just sitting waiting for the flight, whatever it is. Because otherwise, if I wait till the last minute and I'm in a hurry, it'll all be about me. Gotta make sure I get everything done, gotta make sure I get to the plane on time, all that kind of stuff. I won't pay attention to anybody else. That's not the way to help. You gotta see the person on the side of the road. And the only way we can do that is if we're not rushing around. Encourage you, give it some thought, plan to be helpful. See what that does for you.